The top three. What we doing? The top. Subscribe. Oh man. Today we are doing another Mr. Ballin video. Top three videos with disturbing. Oh my God. Ed, I can't get it together. Can you make me say the right words? Top three videos with disturbing backstories. That is what we're doing today. Are you ready to get into it? I'm loving these, man. This is a breath of fresh air in between music videos. So if you are into this type of content, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hey, it's going to be a journey because he has a lot of videos. And I'm probably going to binge watch them. I don't want to watch them by myself now. I need some company. Intro!
Yeah, you never flew private plane. Now your eyes open wide up in Paris. Yeah, you ain't never been from the coast on a yacht to an island. Yeah.
We back. All right, let's go straight to it.
Today,
Disturbing backgrounds. Hold on. They disturb. Get ready to be disturbed. Sometimes you got to be mentally prepared to be disturbed. Hold on, man. All right, let's go. Mr. Ballin. Is he balling like balling or he just Floyd maybe? Never mind. All right.
I'm going to share with you 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I'm going to share with you the video that is famously associated with them. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format,
Subscribe.
then you've come to the right channel.
Did I subscribe to you, bro? If not, how I'm going to tell them to subscribe? I just subscribed. I'm sorry, I'm gonna like the video too. I know I'm gonna like it. Oh, wow.
Because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer the like button a ride home from soccer practice, but then don't show up. Also, please subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads.
Do all of
All right,
that.
let's get into today's stories.
Let's go. Man, it's kind of fun, bro.
Today's stories.
Why did I rewind that? What you got for us today, Ballin? Tornadoes. Shouts out to
On
Arkansas.
April 9th, 2015, residents of the tiny farming community Fairdale, Illinois, woke up to heavy rains outside and an ominous forecast. Severe thunderstorms were going to persist all day, and then at night there was a chance of a tornado. Meteorologists were telling residents of Fairdale that if you can, you should evacuate because it's not worth sticking around for. But if you're going to ride out the storm, make sure you take in the necessary precautions and make sure you have a plan for how to get to a shelter if the storm gets really bad. That morning, some forecasters were saying this tornado could prove to be one of the biggest in Illinois' history. But most of the 152 Fairdale residents had lived here their whole lives, and they'd seen...
It's only 152 people. We can give everybody like $10. So start giving out $10, right? At everybody.
bad storms before, even tornadoes, and they had ridden them out before. How could this one be any different? You know, most of the time, the worst that happened was maybe a power line comes down and you lose power for the day. But unlike previous storms, this one was getting worse and worse by the minute. And by 6 p.m. that night, forecasters were no longer theorizing that this could be a huge tornado. They were outright pleading with Fairdale residents to evacuate while you still can. But despite these warnings, the vast majority of Fairdale residents stayed put. They were committed to riding the storm out. By 7 p.m., meteorologists were saying this tornado is imminent and it looks as big or bigger than the last major tornado that came through Illinois that killed 8.
It's already Mr. Ballin. I'm already seeing where it's going, man. Oh, come on, man. Did y'all ever make a tornado for a science project? It's the laziest science project ever, but I did it. Oh, man.
People and level an entire town. This tornado tonight is going to kill people. Just 15 minutes later at 7:15, the tornado finally touched down right outside of Fairdale. It was this massive, almost mile-wide tornado with over 200-mile-an-hour winds, and unlike other tornadoes of that size that typically move at about 30 miles an hour, This one was traveling on land at about 15 miles an hour, meaning it would be sitting over the areas it was devastating for longer amounts of time, making it even worse than some of the worst.
So if a tornado sit in one place, it's just tearing. Oh, that's horrible. As I'm already seeing
predictions that meteorologists had for this tornado. 15 minutes later at 7:30 p.m., 84-year-old Fairdale resident Clem Schultz and his wife Jerry Schultz, they were at home because they had decided to ride out the storm. As Clem is sitting in the living room watching the Weather Channel, kind of waiting for the last possible second to go into their basement, he hears his wife yell out from the kitchen to come in here and look at this. So Clem goes into the kitchen and she's pointing out the back window, and he looks out and he sees this massive tornado coming right at them. It's less than a mile away and it is way bigger than he thought it was going to be. But from their perspective, because the tornado was spinning counterclockwise, it kind of looked like it was spinning away from town into this empty field. And Clem says to his wife Jerry, you know what, it looks like it's going to miss us, but we're probably going to lose power, so I'm going to go up into the attic and get some land.
Mr. Ballen, they stubborn even after I'm out. I'm finna leave. Bro! Y'all can have the computer, bro. You know what? Even though the tornado right there, the size of the world, it's probably just gonna skip right here. Come on, ma'am, them. Come on, ma'am, them. I forgot y'all name. Ma'am, them.
Lanterns ready. So Jerry stays in the kitchen, probably going to lose power, so I'm going to go up into the attic and get some lanterns ready. So Jerry stays in the kitchen, Clem goes up into the attic, and as he's fishing to get out the lanterns, he hears what sounds like a freight train barreling through town, and he had this little window at the edge of his attic, so he goes over and he looks out, and the tornado had not veered off into the open field. It had continued straight towards his house, and it was ripping off roofs right in front of him. And he figured, I don't have enough time to go down into the basement. I have no time to do anything. So he takes out his phone and he begins recording.
Huh? You filmed it? Oh, no. No, tornado, stop, man. Stop it. I'm out there like this. It's too late. Ed, get my fingers. Ed, put me some power in these fingers. No. Ed. The tornado ain't working yet. That's crazy, bro. It's a nightmare. Outside your window? Whoa. I didn't agree to white people who did videos. Mr. Ballen, I can't sue you, but I didn't know people would now. When I be getting ready at the beginning of these reactions, I gotta get ready to react. It's a difference between a death react. All right, I didn't do the death. They got me reacting to death. Oh man, I know that man was minding his business. Oh man, come on. Oh, wow, I rewinded. I'm worse. I'm looking for death. Oh, that's crazy. It's so loud.
Clem's house, along with all the others in that video, collapsed. And initially, Clem thought he had died because it was totally quiet and it was totally dark. And he actually said out loud, "Am I dead?" But it was the pain in his back from a crushed vertebrae that told him, "No, you survived." And he begins to kind of pull himself out of the rubble, and before long, a neighbor is pulling him out. And as soon as he's out of the rubble of his house, he looks around, and his whole community is pretty much gone. And as he's standing there,
where's wife?
Bewildered, his neighbor says, "Clem, don't look down." And Clem says, "Why?" And his neighbor says, "Because your wife is under you and she's dead."
I thought everybody reacting like somebody that's dead though, Ballen. Oh man, Ballen. I ain't even balling no more. I want to sit on the bench. Coach, I'm not balling. I'm sitting on the bench. I'm not. No. I hate. Kito, you gang. Just tough it out. This has already been done. They documented. He's strong enough to document it. You got to be strong enough to react to it. See, reactors don't take you out in the mind of their thoughts.
dust had finally settled, not only had Clem's wife been killed, but Clem's neighbor had been killed as well, because the tornado
That's sad as
went
hell.
directly through their two houses. That video that Clem shot is now used to educate people on how dangerous tornadoes really are,
Wow.
and how anytime a tornado is coming through your area, never go outside to film it, seek shelter.
Before we move further, I only watched 2 videos of Mr. Ballen. Hopefully that you're doing okay, brother. I don't know if reactors will be reacting to your shit, talk to you. I care, man. The content that you bring these people on can 4, 5 videos, whatever you said you're dropping per week, like Master P.O. albums. I like to say this about you, man. Hopefully you're okay, because you're probably stressed out about seeing all this information. Go get you an oat milk cortado anywhere and tell them Kito sent you, man, and a cash app, and I'm going to pay for it. I got you, man. I just wanted to let y'all know that.
On Sunday, February 12th, 2017, Abigail Williams was over her best friend, Liberty German's house for a sleepover. Abby and Libby were 13 and 14, respectively. That night, as they're laying in bed, they were looking out the window, hoping they saw snowflakes come down, because there was apparently this huge storm that was going to roll through the next day, and they were hoping that if it did, school would be canceled.
We all wanted that.
But when they woke up the next morning, it hadn't even snowed. However, they found out that in Delphi, Indiana, where they lived, school had been canceled preemptively in anticipation of this big storm that never really amounted
Those
to
were the
anything.
days.
So the girls got a free day off where they could actually go outside and enjoy it. So the girls start talking about how they're going to spend their extra day off, and Libby suggests, well, why don't we go check out the Monon High Bridge? It was this abandoned bridge that crossed over the stream, and a lot of their classmates would take pictures on it and post it to their social media, and the girls figured this is a great day to go do that. So Libby asks her grandmother, Becky, who was her primary caretaker, if it would be okay if they went for a hike over near this bridge. Becky gives them permission, but with the caveat that they would find their own ride there and back. So Libby convinces her older sister, Kelsey, to give them a ride there, and Libby speaks to her father, Derek, and he says he can pick them up, but he'd only be able to pick them up at a very specific time, which would only give the girls a couple of hours at the bridge, but they thought that was fine and that was plenty of time. So a couple hours later, at about 1:30 in the afternoon, Kelsey drops off the 2 girls at the start of the trail that's going to bring them to this bridge. We know the girls made it to the bridge because at 2:07 p.m., Libby posted a picture to her social media of Abby walking across the bridge. At 3:11 p.m., Libby's father, Derek, texted her and said, hey, I'm going to be there in a minute. Just want to make sure you guys are there to meet me. And she didn't text Derek back, and Derek would later say that that was pretty unusual for her. At 3:14 p.m., Derek arrives at the meeting spot, and the girls are nowhere to be found. And so Derek tries calling. There's no answer. He texts his daughter, no response. And so he ends up calling Becky, Libby's grandmother, his mother, and says, hey, did the girls contact you and change plans about where I was picking them up or when? And Becky said, no, I haven't heard from them. They said they'd be there at 3. They should be there now. I haven't heard from them. And Derek says he can't get in touch with them. So for the next 10 minutes, Becky and her husband, Mike, Libby's grandfather, just try calling over and over and over again to the girls, but nothing's going through. They can't get them to respond to text messages. So Mike leaves and meets up with Derek in the parking lot, and the 2 of them begin walking the trail to try to find these girls. At this point, the family's not suspecting foul play. They're thinking, the girls probably got lost, or they lost track of time, or their phones just ran out of batteries, or maybe they did get hurt and they can't move, but it's probably not that serious. They're creating scenarios in their head to rationalize what's happening. But by the time the sun went down at about 5 p.m. and there was still no sign of these girls, they ended up calling the police and officially reporting the girls missing. At 6 p.m. that night, there is this massive search combing the trail looking for these girls, but all night they're looking everywhere with hundreds of searchers and there's no sign of them. The following day, on Tuesday, February 14th, one of the searchers was about a half mile away from the bridge where the girls have been taking those pictures, and they discovered the girls' bodies right next to it.
Man.
The police didn't release their cause of death. However, they said, without a doubt, this is a homicide, because apparently the scene was incredibly disturbing and had at least 2 or 3 signatures. Signatures are things done to the victims that are above and beyond what is required to end their life. Things like writing on the victims or their body position, much, much worse.
It's a dark one.
Usually you only see signatures when you're dealing with a serial killer.
I knew it. Too much CSI, man. That CSI got me prepared for you, Mr. Baldwin. Man, your name should be Baldwin. Because I want to say Baldwin, Mr. Baldwin. But Mr. Baldwin, man, bro, man, somebody to have 5 sisters and a daughter, it just makes you want to just, man, you have no idea.
After the bodies were discovered, police were able to extract some video from Libby's phone. It turns out when Libby was taking those pictures of Abby on the bridge and had just posted it to social media, apparently this guy had come on the bridge and Libby must have sensed danger and she began filming him. Now, there is apparently a video that starts from the bridge and lasts
this
all the way
creepy as hell, bro.
Moments, but the police would release a very small snippet of this recording because it showed who they believe is the killer walking towards them with his hands in his pockets, looking down, and he says to them, "Guys, down the hill."
Down the hill. Down the hill.
Despite thousands of tips,
creepy as hell, bro.
Down the hill.
Despite
Man. Oh, man, that's creepy. He looked creepy. The sketch looked creepy, bro. Hold on.
to them, "Guys, down the hill."
Down the hill.
Wow, dog. I hate that.
Despite thousands of tips pouring in as soon as this video was made public, they still don't know who this guy is. No arrests have been made.
I'm not trying to sound stupid. You gotta run. I'm not saying they didn't, man, but no. My advice is don't ever cooperate with anybody. No cooperation. Bite, kick, scream, tear off the kahunas. I don't care what you do. Punch them. Get them. Scream. Do whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying what nobody did or didn't do. Lord knows. Man, I'm not looking at that.
The case remains unsolved.
Dating game. Come on, Mr.
Before The Bachelorette pitted 30 men against each other to win one woman's heart, Americans watched another show about random strangers competing for a mate. It was called The Dating Game. Starting in 1965, this reality show featured a woman asking 3 men questions without seeing their faces, and based on their answers, at the end of the show, she would choose one to go on a date with. On the surface, the September 13th, 1978 showing of The Dating Game looks like every other episode with lots of unsubtle innuendo, but this episode would go down in history as a one-of-a-kind, and not in a good way. At the end of this particular show, it was time for the Bachelorette, Cheryl Bradshaw, to make her decision. And she would choose Bachelor number 1, who would turn out to be this tall, good-looking, long-haired guy whose name was Rodney. Rodney comes around the partition, and they see each other for the first time, and everybody laughs, and they hug, and the show looks like every other show, and on stage, Rodney looks like every other contestant that's ever been on the show. But after the show ended and Cheryl and Rodney went backstage and actually began having a real conversation that was not being filmed, Cheryl would say that Rodney completely changed. He became incredibly creepy and was saying things like, "I always get the girl." And then at some point he says, "Hey, you should come out with me tonight. It'll be a date you'll never forget." And she turns to him and just says, "No thanks." This would turn out to be a really wise decision because Rodney was a horrible, horrible person. Had the show done a background check on Rodney, they would have discovered that he assaulted an 8-year-old and went to jail for 3 years for it and was currently on parole.
Wow.
But even if they had done a background check on Rodney, the check would not have discovered what he did at night. Rodney was shamelessly cocky and self-confident, and unlike a lot of men, he had no issue walking right up to any woman anywhere and flirting with her. And he used that to his advantage. He would go up to women in bars and he would convince them that he was a fashion photographer and that they were so beautiful, would you come back to my apartment and do a photo shoot with me? And just like Cheryl on the dating show, these women were immediately kind of charmed by him and would say yes. Once they got back to his apartment, he would shut and lock the door and then become that creepy guy that Cheryl saw backstage. But unlike Cheryl, who at the time she saw this just said, "I'm not interested," and was able to leave, these women were trapped. And then whether they wanted to or not, they would do a photo shoot with him and then he would strangle them to death.
Oh, look at his face. I knew he ain't had no good eyes. The man ain't got good eyes. He ain't had no soul. When they showed that picture of him, his smile, kind of weird, looking like Jose Canseco. But man, oh man. Oh, we don't want to hear that no more, that part.
Alcala was not your typical dating game contestant. He was a serial killer who, by the time he stepped foot on that show and was chosen by Cheryl Bradford to win the game, he had already killed 4 people.
Wow.
And over a 2-year period, he killed as many as 130 people, which if you're doing the math...
What? This is the reason for background checks. This is why you check everybody's background.
Is over those 2 years, he was killing at least 1 person a week.
What?
Alcala was finally apprehended and he was sentenced to death. Here are some highlights from Rodney Alcala's episode of The Dating Game.
And we're going to start by having them say hello to you and see how they sound.
This
Number
creepy
1,
as hell.
would you say hello to Cheryl, please? We're going to have a great time together.
That's Jose Canseco. Allegedly. Just in case he watched reactions. That's Jose Canseco, man, mixed with Bon Jovi hair. Old hair when he was little. Oh, man. That's creepy.
How they sound. Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please?
She pretty.
We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl. Okay. Daddy.
Did y'all see the way he said that? Whoa. Whoa.
Hello to Cheryl, please. We're going to have a
His
great time
eyes.
together, Cheryl. Okay. Daddy. Here
What?
we go.
Bachelor number 1,
Yes.
what's your best time?
Well, y'all used to be
The best
animated back
time is at night. Nighttime.
Why do you say that?
Because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good.
Bachelor number 1, I am serving you for dinner.
Oh.
What are you called and what do you look like?
I'm called the banana, and I look really good.
Yeah, he's a psychopath.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
That's where they got all the right answers. You see? Oh, man, that's even worse. Everybody be strapped. I can't say it for the low, for the algorithm. Everybody be strapped. Stay strapped to the teeth. Just keep your thing. Keep your heater. Keep your heater, little baby heater. Keep your big heater with the extender. Allegedly, it
I'm gonna
stays
ask you a
worse.
question. Will that date be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3? Who gets the dates?
Well,
Three
I
more
like
again.
bananas, so I'll take 1.
Number 1, bachelor number 1. All right. He's a skydiver, so he's got a lot of nerve. He's into motorcycling. He's also a fine photographer. Say hello to Rodney Alcala. Rodney, come on and say hello. Congratulations, Rod. You did it with a 1 answer.
That's crazy, yo.
So that's going to do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this.
I forgot we was even watching Mr. Ballin', man. He really scared me when he came back. Man, Mr. Ballin'
Please
is
let me know
dope.
what you thought in the comment.
Mr. Ballin' is dope. We doing more of that, man. Which ones? Y'all send me some particular episodes, man, that we can watch. I don't know. It seemed like he got a lot of disturbance. This is part 2. So maybe we'll go, whoa, man, I wasn't ready for the deaths. Ooh-wee. Be sure to like the video, subscribe. Come join us on these videos, man. If you're a regular on the channel and you for music, watch these with me if you want to. If you're new, subscribe, hit the notification, and we're going to keep this thing going, man. What are you doing? I am also Mr. Ballin-ish. I can say some stuff. Never mind. Outro!
Yeah, you never flew private plane. Now your eyes open wide up in Paris. Yeah, you ain't never been from the coast on a yacht to an island.